Good morning everyone. So today we will discuss theorem 5. So what is theorem 5? Two integers a and b, both of which are non-zero, will be relatively prime to each other if and only if there exist two integer x and y such that ax plus by is equal to 1. So we have to do in two parts. That is, first it's an if and only if question. So at first we will consider two integers a and b, both of which are non-zero, will be relatively prime. So at first we'll consider the two integers are relatively prime to each other. Okay. So theorem 5. Let a and b be two integers which are relatively prime. Okay. At first আমি a আর b কি ধরি relatively prime integers বলে ধরি, and we have to prove what? We have to prove that there exist two integer x and y such that ax plus by is equal to 1. We need to prove, that is to prove ax plus by equal to 1. Done. So say proof. Since a and b are relatively prime, now since they are prime, so obviously what will be their highest common factor? What will be the common factor? Only one is the common factor. All one e ki hobo? Factor hobo, right? So therefore GCD of AB will be equal to 1. And now in theorem 4, what is theorem 4? You have to know what is theorem 4, okay, for this question. So theorem 4 is the GCD of AB is equal to what? Ax plus by. So that is a different theorem, and we have to use this theorem that GCD of AB is equal to ax plus by. So what is GCD of AB? GCD of AB is equal to 1, because we have considered a and b are what? Relatively prime integers in the given part. So I'll put GCD of AB is equal to 1, which is equal to ax plus by. So which implies ax plus by is equal to 1. So first part done. That if a and b will be relatively prime, if they are prime, so then ax plus by is equal to what? 1. Now you can say that now we know that, okay, we have used theorem 4 here, so we can write now we know that GCD of AB is equal to x plus by, that is by theorem 4. And you write here x and y belongs to what? Integers. Okay, done. So now we'll prove the conversely part. What is the conversely part? Conversely, in conversely, what we'll take now? We'll take this as the given, and we'll prove that a and b are what? Relatively prime to each other, right? So conversely, let ax plus by is equal to 1. Let us assume that ax plus by is equal to 1. Let GCD of AB, a and b are now not relatively prime. We don't know whether a and b are relatively prime or not. For us now, a and b are any two integers, any two numbers, right? So let us assume that their GCD is any number d. আমি GCD of AB কি বলি ধরেছি? D বলি ধরেছি। আমাকে কি দেখাবো লাগবে? GCD of AB should be equal to what? 1. Because if and only if their common factor is 1, only and only then they will be what? Relatively prime. So we have to show that GCD of AB is equal to 1. Now GCD of AB is equal to D we have considered. What does it means? That D is the common factor of what? A and B. এটা তো হয় না HCF এর মিনিং। HCF বা GCD এর মিনিং কি থাকে? যে ডিভাইড যাব, like 15 and 10. So what is the GCD? The GCD is 5. It means what? It means 5 divides 15, and it means what? 5 divides what? 10. So similarly, let GCD of AB is equal to D, which implies D divides A and what? D divides B. Obviously, because that is the common factor. D is the common factor. Now if D divides A and D divides B, then there is a formula. I think so it is theorem number 2 or theorem number 3, the 7th formula, very important one, which already came in the exam, that D divides A and D divides B implies D divides AX plus what? BY, comma X comma Y belongs to what? Integer. Done. So the last part. What is the value of AX plus BY? We have considered the value of AX plus BY to be 1. So which implies D divides 1. D divides 1. Now you see, এনেকুৱা কি number আছে যোনে 1 of divide কৰে? What number is there? This is D divides 0, right? Sorry, this is D divides 1. D divides 1 means 1 by D. So what number is there which will divide 1? There is only 1 and only one number. You cannot put 2 here because it will be a fraction. You cannot put 3 here. So there is only one option for D. That is what? The value of D must be what? 1. Only and only then 1 by 1 will be what? 1. Because other than 1, if you put any other number in place of D, then it will be what? A fraction. So if D divides 1, therefore D must also be equal to what? 1. So thus, if D is equal to 1, what we can say that thus GCD of AB will also be equal to 1. If GCD of AB is equal to 1, if their greatest common divisor or highest common factor is 1, that is A and B are relatively prime to each other. So we can say that A and B are relatively what? Prime to each other. Okay, so this is theorem number 5. It is said that two integers A and B, both of which are non-zero, will be relatively prime to each other if and only if you have to show that what? There exists any two integers x and y such that ax plus by is equal to 1. So at first আমি কি কইলো A আর B prime বলি ধরিলো. This is at first আমি consider কইলো A and B are prime. Then if they are prime, obviously their common factor will be 1. And by theorem 4, GCD of AB is equal to x plus by. In place of GCD of 1, the GCD of AB will put 1. So first part done, x plus by is equal to 1. Second, conversely, this time we will consider x plus by to be equal to 1. And we have to prove what? One line you can add here. One line, if you want, you can add here. You can add this line here. To prove. Now we have to prove what? A and B are relatively prime. We have to prove A and B are relatively prime. So proof. Likhila hoy, nilikhila hoy. Not so compulsory. You have to write prove and to prove here. Nilikhila hoy. Directly you can start now. But okay, so proof. Then GCD of AB we have considered D. It means D divides A and D divides B because D is the GCD, right? Common factor, highest common factor. So D divides A, D divides B. And by again another theorem, if D divides A and D divides B, this is theorem. So D divides AX plus BY. Very important theorem. Very important theorem. And the value of AX plus BY is considered to be 1. So D divides 1. And there can be only 1 and 1 value for D. That is what? 1. Because 1 of total 1 divide to done. So then GCD of AB will also be 1. It means what? A and B are relatively prime to each other. So this is the proof. This is the theorem number 5. If you have any doubt, you can ask. Okay.